Freedom Tower, 6 degrees of separation is what I could call the World Trade Center. My name is Marian Josephine Nicosia, and I'm really sincerely that girl from nowhere in the world but New York. I was 24 years old on the day of 9/11, and my father, Joseph Nicosia, was one of many people who once worked at the World Trade Center. My father was a broadcast technician at NBC New York, and while I was home watching Roseanne during the 8 o'clock nighttime weekdays hours, my father was home sleeping, getting ready for his late night shift at NBC New York. I could definitely say that Roseanne and Dan were like many working class families in New York. Roseanne had her own restaurant that I believe was called the Lanford Lunchbox, but I'm not particularly too sure. I know that when Sandra Bernhardt was in the show, she worked in Roseanne's restaurant, and they definitely worked together in a restaurant diner that I think was called the Lanford Lunchbox. And Dan Connor was your typical good father and good husband, like my very own dad, that I know didn't work in New York City like my father and didn't have a job like a broadcast technician like my very own dad. But I think Dan Connor was a contractor or he was self-employed. But I know that Dan Connor was definitely your typical good husband and good father that cared to take care of his wife and his family. And Roseanne and Dan were like any typical working class family that you knew in New York City.